This squash is about to get stuffed like it owes me rent. Walk with me. I can tell you for certain this one is going to be an interesting one today. I'm going to be stuffing a whole ass squash with marinara sauce and meatballs. I couldn't tell you the last time I made something so adventurous and something so interesting, both in my free time or on this channel, so this will be very interesting. With that being said, you guys know me. When I can make meat and let it marinate for a little, I'm gonna do that, so that's what we're doing here with this ground pork. This is chili flake. Everything you just saw me add to ground pork was salt, pepper, garlic powder, chili flake, and some egg. Now the recipe I'm loosely following calls for plain breadcrumbs. No offense to that recipe, but plain is not it. So we're going to do it up starting with some Italian seasoning. You will also add a little bit of Grana padano. I hope I said that correctly. Now if you want to use plain breadcrumbs, you can go right ahead, but me, it's like I've said a million times before, if I can maximize flavor, I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to do that. You also don't want to add too much breadcrumbs because you don't want your meatballs to taste like meaty breadcrumbs. You add just enough so that it acts like a binder. Our meat has returned, and now to it we're going to add our breadcrumbs. I don't know if I'm going to need all of it, but I'll see. My ancestors have tapped me on my shoulder. They have told me, child, you've used enough. And if while you're seasoning food, your ancestors don't tap you on the shoulder and tell you when you've added enough of something, then your ancestors wasn't in the kitchen cooking like mine. I don't know what else to tell you. Now, if you have some gloves, this is when you're going to want to put them on. But me, I don't have gloves because I don't feel like spending money on gloves. Get your hand in there and mix it until it's just combined. Also, we're going to get this out the way right now. Sometimes when I'm trying to figure out recipes, there is an individual that we're going to call Nate. Nate always complains, oh, Yam's Kitchen, you never give me credit for anything. Oh, you need to give me credit for the recipes that you bring to life. So shout out to Nate for the recipe recommendation. And if any of you have recipe recommendations, please don't hesitate to drop them down in the comments. I don't bite. I take everything into consideration. We've set our pork aside. We're letting those seasonings and flavors marinate. Let's make a sauce. I'm going to be honest, I don't feel like making a tomato sauce at all. But instead of buying a jarred sauce from the store that's going to taste unbelievably mid, I'm just going to do it myself. It doesn't take that long to make and it'll be that much better. Now I'm going to share something with you guys and it's probably going to turn into a little bit of a rant, so bear with me. I really wanted to make beef meatballs for this recipe because I feel like beef meatballs would just go better. But when I arrived at the store, somehow they had no ground beef. Sometimes when I go to supermarkets around here, I feel like the people that run the stores, they wake up every day, they call each other, they go, hey, how you doing? I'm alright. How can we piss off Yam's Kitchen today? How can we be an inconvenience and not have something that he'll need? I run my sorry carcass around this area trying to buy stuff from stores and they just don't have what I need. What the hell, man? But if you couldn't tell, we're going to start this marinara sauce off by dicing some onion. All roads lead to Rome, and all roads lead to me dicing a damn onion. You know, grab yourself a pot and put some oil in it. However much oil you normally add to a pot, don't use as much. I'll show you why in a moment. The reason is because we're using some of that clarified butter. I've been on a clarified butter kick recently. The nutty flavor that it brings to things is delicious. I like it, so I'm going to use it. So that means you're also going to use it. You don't really have a choice here. You will now add your onion to the pot. This is the part where you mix it around, you let it cook in for a couple of minutes, you mix it around some more, and when they're soft and translucent, you add the garlic. But let's not get too far ahead of ourselves. Let the onion cook for now. I'm going to be honest, the smell of the sauteed onion with the clarified butter and oil, it already smells incredible. But we're just going to crank that up times 10 by sauteing this garlic next. Sometimes I consider putting sauteed onion and garlic in a jar and just selling it like that. But we're going to make it somehow even better by adding some seasonings. We're doing pepper. A little bit of salt, nothing too crazy because we're going to season the marinara sauce too. And we add just a touch more chili. The chili in the sauce and in the meatballs are going to combine and give you that nice warmth. Yes, it'll be a little hot, but like I've said before, we're not punks and spice has never stopped us before. Our seasonings have cooked in. If at this point you're not ready to eat this straight out the pot, you've probably done something wrong. Anyways, going with the canned tomatoes. And we add just a splash of water just to clean out the cans. Now we give this a mix, we bring it to a simmer, and we allow it to reduce. Now I hope you don't mind if I whip it out. My squash, that is. Never in my 20 plus years of life have I ever had to do this to a squash, so I recommend grabbing both your longest knife and the sharpest knife that you have. I also recommend saying a prayer. You're gonna have to get very creative with how you do this for sure. We're gonna make it happen somehow. Victory is mine, for I have won, Lord Jesus. My sauce has been bubbling and reducing away. I gave it a taste, and damn it, once again, it's not about what it needs so much as what it doesn't need. I don't know what it is with the canned tomatoes that I buy from this store that they always taste like crap. I already added some more chili flake. If you don't want to add more chili flake, don't add more chili flake. I'm doing what I want to do. We're going to add some garlic powder because somehow the fresh garlic has been completely neutralized in this. We're also going to add some black pepper. Add salt because this tastes like I added no salt at all. This is basil and a sprinkling of oregano. I'm going to give this a mix. I'm going to let it cook in, and I'm going to hope that I redeemed this sauce, even though I did absolutely nothing wrong in the first place. While I was in the process of manually removing the flesh from this half of the, what is this called? Squash. I don't know how I forgot the name like that. It was brought to my attention that I can put it in the oven and remove the flesh once it's soft and easier to work with. Now, on my end, I'm going to have to take this out the oven before I take this out the oven, but don't worry about that. Now, to make sure that this cooks properly and it doesn't dry out, you're going to want to cover the whole damn thing in oil. However, for the inside, we're going to add more than just oil. We will be adding pepper, and we will be adding salt. Now, like I said, we're going to cover both the inside and outside in oil, so give them a flip and cover the outside in a little bit of oil too. I'm not gonna lie, rubbing in the oil this way feels very weird. Now that you've oiled up your squash, I'm sorry. Get these going in the oven, set to 400 degrees for about 20 minutes. Now that our squash is in the oven doing its thing, it's time to prepare our meatballs. What's even more crazy is that literally the video before this one, I also made meatballs. And while the recipes are similar, they are indeed different. To be honest, that video was a banger, so when you finish here, you better go watch that one. I'll also mention the entire reason why I wanted beef was because I recently made pork meatballs. But like I've established, supermarkets around here hate me, so we ball. Try to make your meatballs all around the same size so that they cook evenly. If you need to measure them, go ahead and do that. Now we get some oil going in the pan. And now that our pan is super hot, we go in with the meatballs. Now, the last time we made meatballs, we didn't want the heat too high because we didn't want it to have a nice sear, but it was going to be raw in the middle. And you still don't want the heat to be too high. We still want that sear, but it's okay if the meat doesn't fully cook in the pan because it's going to go back in the oven. We've just given our meatballs a flip, and listen, I don't need to say it because you can see it. The browning, the sear, it's beautiful, it's perfect, and it's exactly what we're looking for. But now that you flip them, you're going to let them cook a few minutes on the other side, and you're going to roll them around so that each side can get that nice, even crusting. These meatballs are done. These meatballs are seared. These meatballs smell delicious. Our squash is out the oven. I've stabbed it a few times. It's softer. I think we're ready to stuff it. Well, not quite yet because I need to gut this one on the far end. Now, I know what you're going to say. This one on the right looks a little ugly. I'm not hearing it right now. I tried my best, okay? But what you're going to want to do now is ladle just a slight layer of sauce across the bottom. It's just so our meatballs have something nice to sit on. And now you decorate across with those delicious meatballs. I thought I could fit 4, but I guess 3 will be just fine. And we dial up just a little bit more sauce on top, but not so much that you can't see the meatballs anymore. Just a little bit, like I said. Then you just top it all off with some cheese. One of my favorite things ever is cheese. We're going to put this back in the oven so the cheese came out nicely like I said, and so that the squash can finish cooking. Our squash is done, it's out the oven, and it looks pretty. I feel I should mention it's a lot easier if you use spaghetti squash. I happen to buy a butternut squash because it's all I could find. Now normally to finish videos I bring out the plate, I do my thing, but today it's going to stay in the tray, but that's not going to stop me from adding more cheese. We also finished with a little bit of parsley because it makes every single thing look better. This looks pretty damn good, I'm not gonna lie. I'm gonna go ahead and dig in.